Hello and welcome back to Woodhill Park. Hello again, I'm back up in the loft and spring is finally here. So the sun's out, it's getting warm up in the loft and it's going the other direction now. It's possibly going to get too warm up in the loft. But I'm back up here and I'm just about to show you what I've just bought. My favourite diesel loco is really a Class 37, and I've got quite a few older Bachmanns and I'm quite happy with them, but I just happen to be looking at people's channels and people saying about sales on them and stuff, and I started looking at a particular model shop and the price was quite good for the new updated Bachmann. Most people slated it because of the cost of it, and it is extremely dear. I think it's 300, I've got it wrote down somewhere. The recommended retail price of the Bachmann new release of the Class 37 was $344.95. So there's no way I was going to pay that. I think that's just stupid. So I forgot all about it really, and then suddenly they dropped it even more and I managed to get it for £224.21p, which is a lot under what the Curascale ones were, and it's a bit of a debate what one's best. So I took the plunge and I bought the Bachmann update and it's just arrived. I did have to make a compromise though, because I really wanted just a plain large logo version, but the only one what was available for this price was a Scottish region one, so I've got a Scotty dog on the side, which doesn't really entirely fit with my layout, but I suppose we can make up a story saying it's just passing through, down for a visit, it's on loan or whatever, but it was the only way I was going to get one of these for a reasonable price. It comes with loads of fittings, and I'll be fitting these later, as I do want the buffer beam to look authentic at one end, but I possibly won't be fitting the etched nameplates. I'm not sure they're worth the bother, as the nameplates actually printed on the loco is good enough for me, so I'll just put this aside for now and have a look at the destructions. Well, I finished looking her over and she's fine, and now I've put her on the track ready to run her in. Another good reason for buying the Bachmann version, now the price is really competitive, is I haven't heard of any issues with the running of this. So I think now the price is what it is. I just had to have it. So it's now been added to my collection. Let's hope it is okay and there's no issues. Well, it made a click. Oh, we got some sound. Well, people have said it's very loud, and it does sound very loud, to the point it's distorting the speaker a little bit when it started. So I think I'll be turning that down in a while. But yeah, it sounds pretty good. And that first bit of movement, a bit jerky, but it has to run in anyway. I've now finished running her in, and she took a bit of running in because I'd give her a bit extra either way, because there was still quite a bit of jerky movements, and the builders are still here. But if I start her going, she moves very slowly, and not as jerky as she was. I wouldn't say she was totally smooth at moving along, but it's not too jerky, and it can only improve. It was quite bad before it was running. If you just stop the throttle or reduce the throttle to nothing, then she takes a while to slow down, but you can add the brakes, which is a good feature like that, because sometimes you just need to stop the loco no matter what. Right, let's try. I've just read the instructions and it's on, off, on, off, on. That should be the cold start. It sounds like it to me. Struggling. lately I've been having a fault on my dynamis, and I like the system, but this fault has been a real pain in the rear, and it's made me think about changing it. But I finally solved it. The fault was that it kept asking to renew the list of locos all the time, as if it stopped talking to the base station. What it was in the end was a faulty decoder in one of the locos. The decoder was a decoder I used for a 2-car DMU, and it was in the end just to drive the lights at one end of the DMU, because the DMU required 2 decoders, as it being an old-fashioned Bachmann DMU. And this decoder, I couldn't seem to program it to tell it what it was. It kept flitting between descriptions, and I couldn't work out why I was doing that. But that was causing the fault, because I got fed up with trying to program it properly, took it out, put another decoder I had in the end of the DMU, and lo and behold, the fault cleared. But what it kept doing was asking the handset to renew the list all the time, and I think it was because the base station couldn't recognise the chip. It just kept sort of screwing it up, and it used to keep asking renew the list, and then it would go back to like the default one on the list. So if you were in the middle of running something, in order to keep it going, you'd say yes, renew the list, but it would take you off what you was actually controlling. So if anything happened at that point, you had to scroll through the list like a maniac to get back to stop the loco that was running away at that time. So as I say, it was doing my head in. But that's what it was. So if there's anybody out there experiencing lack of communication between the handset and the base station, and it keeps asking to renew the list all the time, it's worth looking at this fault. It could be one of your decoders, in which case you can take each loco off your layout in turn, and you should find what one's causing a problem. Other things I've been up to is painting figures. I've been painting loco drivers. They're all sitting here and they're dry now. Now I've just got to go through the various locos I need to put them in, which is quite a few actually. Some of these, their feet dropped off of the figures, but that doesn't matter. Quite often you end up having to do a bit of an amputation anyway, but their feet seem to be quite delicate, and while you're holding them they sometimes fall off. Other figures include the Queen with her ladies in waiting and a henchman or a bodyguard standing behind her. Just bought this to make up the price to get the free postage actually when I bought the figures. These are all small things really on the face of it really when you're doing work on the layout, but it does take time and a lot of concentration. As you know, I'm a real fan of Class 37's, and so I thought you might like to meet the fleet. I've got quite a few, and as I said, I didn't have the livery that you see in front of you, although it's not entirely true because I have got a large logo version in a different colour scheme, which I'm not that keen on. I just picked it up for a good price, so I still was after this livery. Anyway, I'll carry on and introduce you to what I do have in my fleet. I've got a Ralph 8 red Class 37 called Mirage that I'm quite fond of, and in the early days I did have issues with it, and strangely, rather than sort of repairing it, I actually managed to pick another version of it up, and in the background over here is a second Mirage, but this one has got a few motor issues which I've been working on, and I will rename and renumber just to turn it into a plain rail freight 37 eventually. And then next to that one is the large logoed British Rail blue with yellow ends that I'm not that keen on this livery, but I did pick it up for a good price. And then one of my favourites, the Dutch engineering split head code. I really like that version, and I actually had to buy a new chassis for this because I have had my problems with the old style Class 37's from Bachmann in the past, but I suppose it's due to the number I've got and the amount I run and how much I run them. And then beyond them, which you can just about see, I'll go down the loft and get closer to them in a minute. I just got a bit closer. Coal sector and the full British Rail blue, yellow ends, and the swallow, which really is one of my favourite. I think the 37 is my favourite purely because I used to see more of it on the network when I was a young lad, and they were often thundering through the stations near me. Mainly the British Rail blue really, but it's nice to have all the other liveries, and I do like this collection, and I'm always willing to add to it. I get tempted every so often, hence my new Class 37 in large logo British Rail blue, full yellow ends. They are all lightly weathered except for the new example I've bought, and in time this will be weathered as well, as I do like at least the underframe to look grubby, even if I don't want to add too much weathering to the body. I probably will in time. I just don't rush this process and slap it everywhere, because it's a process you can gradually build up over time if you fancy just adding a bit more weathering. So I don't rush my weathering. I just try and eradicate that toyish look that you get and turn them into something that looks more real. I don't know about you, but my favourite is the new upgraded Bachmann Class 37. I think the sound is really good. The others are very good as well, but there's just this nice sort of echo, hollow sort of sound to the throttle as it pulls away and throttles back. So everybody's got their opinion, and I'm sure you've got yours, but I think the new Bachmann sounds and looks great, but I'm certainly not getting rid of any of the older versions either. I do love 37's. In my next update, I possibly will revisit this embankment. I'm not really happy with it at all. The colouring of the grass is terrible, and I thought I was just going to have a nice bright meadow, but it doesn't look right. I do need to improve this, and I want to improve the embankment generally. So possibly this will be my next project, and because the temperatures are getting very warm up here, this will actually help me dry this when I work on it, as glues and plaster and whatever you use tend to take an age to dry in the winter, but they dry almost overnight in this sort of heat we get through the summer. So projects like this are well worth doing at this time of year. So maybe this, not entirely sure. I've got a few other things I might be working on, but there is sort of limited time I can spend up here due to the heat from now on. Well, I decided, and it's going to be this embankment, and I'm going to make a start now. I have to remove some of this scenery, and time to improve it. I'm afraid I'm going to leave it here for this update, and you can see how I get on with this embankment next time, but I look forward to showing you what I come up with idea wise to improve this embankment. So for now, thanks very much again for watching, and I'll say bye and see you next time. Cheers.